All right, folks, welcome back to another edition of Crash Cart. I am your lovely host, Arden Ballard. I'm the physician assistant and athletic trainer and medical cohort here at Whiskey Throttle Media. I'm joined with a man after my own heart, David Pingree. How are you, sir?
Hey, guys. I'm great. Good to be here. Stoked to kind of cover this topic. And you and I have kind of created a list of things that we both have experience and passion for. And so I'm stoked to talk about it.
I'm not drinking whiskey. I know it's important because we're about to talk about diet. Not yet, at least. Well, let's get through this conversation first.
Yeah, this is a morning show, folks. So,
right.
It's coffee.
We'll crack one open later. Diet. I wanted to talk about probably one of the most controversial topics, at least in my world. What do you eat? And what do you eat to maintain a top tier fitness or elite fitness level? We could talk about pros and vets alike. Ping, I know you have some lovely things to say about what goes in your body. Let's talk about diet for a second.
This is a huge topic, and we're going to just scratch the surface here. And I'm stoked to hear what you think and bounce this idea off you, because we've talked about it a little bit surface level. I want to get into it. I mean, I guess just starting, right at the onset, let's just say, I think that our Food and Drug Administration here and the folks making like the food pyramid and giving out information to the public in America about what is healthy food is corrupted to the core. The food triangle, the food pyramid that they tell you should be eating mostly carbs, and it's like it's completely upside down. Completely upside down. And I think that it's probably done for profit ultimately for these people. I mean, we've seen that our government has just been really susceptible to corruption. And when people can get rich, man, they'll do anything. So having said all that, I mean, I go back to when I was racing, again, rudimentary, a long time ago, mid-90s. I was using my George Foreman grill, cooking chicken breasts, eating green beans out of a can, maybe a little thing of crescent rolls. And that was my dinner. I was a bachelor living by myself, didn't know a damn thing about nutrition. So you just told, eat your vegetables, get some protein, and then lots of pasta as you're building up to a race. You got a carbo load. This is crazy. Like that is a terrible diet plan. And then Gatorade, which I will say, Gatorade used to not be a bad thing.
Right.
If you go look at the ingredients from the 70s or whenever it was implemented down in Florida to what it's in it today, two totally different products, completely different products. And the stuff that they're selling today is poison. You should never drink Gatorade. I would rather drink my own urine. It's probably healthier for you than Gatorade. So we'll start there. Now, like I said, there's been so many things over the past decade, let's say, that have started to come out about how we've been lied to. And our medical system is terrible. I work as a paramedic. You're a PA. You and I have had this conversation a lot, Arden, and that's a podcast for another time. Totally corrupted. The Food and Drug Administration and our food industry here, I think it's the same exact thing. And I think that they're pushing certain things on us because it's profitable for them. And there's this, if they can get you unhealthy and sick and go to your doctor and get on some meds, now Big Pharma comes in and they're like, hell yeah, we got a customer for life here. There's no money in it for them to get you healthy. And doctors, general practitioners, how much schooling do they have on nutrition, Arden? I mean, as a PA, how much were you forced to go and get on nutrition and how that the physiology and pathophysiology of eating well versus not eating well?
There is zero curriculum at least in my PA school, with regards to health, wellness, and nutrition. Zero, not one. Yeah. As an athletic trainer, I took one nutrition class that was taught primarily off of ADA guidelines and the food pyramid.
That's right.
And that's it. There is no continuing education requirement. There is no nothing. No, we're not taught. We're not taught about diet and exercise. We're taught that it's good. Diet and exercise is good, and that's it. And how many times have you gone to a healthcare practitioner and they ask you the question, are you working out? Are you eating well? And your answer is always, well, yeah, I am. And they're like, okay. And they move on, and that's it.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, it's hard to blame. I mean, I'll blame practitioners all day long, but it's hard to blame them there because they're blatantly, woefully ignorant on the topic. You said a lot, and I want to unpack a lot of it, all of it rather. But look, I'm going to take our tinfoil and I'm going to put it over here for a second. I've been called a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist at a time or two, and I know you have. And but I'm going to remove all that for a second.
Except that all of the conspiracies that I've
Undefeated.
talked about have ended up being true.
We're all undefeated
in the past 10 years. So the ones that you still don't believe, you just don't believe yet.
Right, exactly. The food pyramid has been completely debunked as a reputable food recommendation. I think it came out this year or late last year, where it was just completely made up. And it doesn't matter the reason. It doesn't matter, what nefarious act was behind it. The fact is that it was pushed down our throats, and this is what we were supposed to do. And it has been proven and admitted to being fundamentally wrong. That aside, I tell my patients, I have a little conversation, and I have a lot of patients on medical weight loss medications, and I help patients through that journey. So this is a day-to-day conversation that I have. You have people on opposite ends of the spectrum from a diet perspective. And if you poll 10 professionals or influencers what the best diet is, you're going to get 11 different answers. I think two things can be fundamentally true. I think one, no one diet is for everybody. And then I think number two, like you said, Ping, there are foods that we have ample access to that have been designed and marketed to make us addicted to it. There's no difference between a hyper palatable food and a hyper processed food and heroin, as far as how it makes you addicted to it and the negative detrimental health effects it can have from it.
Yeah, and you want to have your mind blown. Philip Morris and RJ Reynolds, the two biggest cigarette manufacturers in the country, they own something like 85% of all the food companies.
Right.
The Kellogg's, the General Mills, all the processed horse shit. And they brought all of their scientists in and said, okay, you know how we made cigarettes addictive with nicotine? How do we do that with food? That's what they're doing. Do a dive on it. Like your mind will be blown.
Yeah.
Because it is nefarious. It's them going, how do we get these people to just keep wanting to eat our Pringles? I mean, they're telling it to you in their marketing. Once you pop, you can't stop. No, because the MSG and the sugar and the crap, all the dopamine dump you're getting every time you eat it.
The dyes and the coloring.
It's addictive. Yeah, and it's total garbage. It isn't even food. It's a food-like product.
Absolutely. And it's really sad because the general population has no idea, or they just wave it off as some sort of, kook job discussion. So I want to bring it back to, what does that mean we do about it? I think the enemy, there are two enemies here. The big enemy, the macro enemy, is inflammation, and how your body responds to a particular food product or drug or anything you put in it. And number two, which is a subset of inflammation, is sugar. There's one of these famous medical influencers or doctors that is heavy in the space. They say the devil tastes sweet. And when you look at root cause medicine, if 80 to 90% of our chronic disease issues could be prevented, the first thing we would do would be to change people's diets. Why is that? Because inflammation is the leading disruptor and manifester of all of these chronic diseases: hypertension, cholesterol issues, diabetes. You can go even into like irritable bowel disease, Alzheimer's, all the autoimmune thyroid stuff, etc. And it all starts with what you eat. So if you're my patient and I'm looking at you in my clinic right now and you're 40 pounds overweight and I just put you on a GLP-1, one of these Ozempics or semaglutide things, I'm going to tell you that you could be a vegan or you could be a carnivore. And that's kind of like the spectrum of diets, right? In my research, which I would say it's quite extensive, maybe not the most in the world, but pretty darn extensive. I would say the legitimate research starts at like a Mediterranean diet and moves on towards carnivore stuff. Me personally, I find that, a protein first diet, and you sprinkle in or you advocate for good quality fats, and You don't have to carb load anymore. You don't have to eat the bowl of pasta before a big event, but you eat berries and healthy carbohydrates to tolerance and to your specific needs. However, if you have an insulin resistance problem, or if you have a metabolic syndrome, you have a big belly, you have issues, like your thyroid is messed up, your testosterone is messed up if you're a man or a woman, I would say stop the carbohydrates altogether. Just avoid them like the plague. Maybe not forever, maybe for 3 weeks. Put yourself on an elimination diet for 3 or 4 weeks and see how you're at. And man, my people who strictly adhere to that elimination diet for like 3 or 4 weeks, it blows their mind. It blows their mind what happens to them, man. Like their skin clears up, they get more energy, they are sleeping better, they're moving better, their joints hurt less. It doesn't take long to flip that switch, man.
No, it's absolutely life-changing. And as a paramedic, we go into people's homes every day. I got this problem, that problem. And we ask, okay, what kind of medical history do you have? What kind of allergies do you have? What kind of medications are you taking? And 9 times out of 10, if they're calling 911 because their health isn't good, they come out with a grocery bag full of medications. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, how are you? I mean, how do you get to this point? And it's like, because that's what our medical system is doing. And all of that, not all of it, 90% of it could be wiped out with just proper diet. My perspective on it is this. Like I said, I didn't eat well when I started because I didn't know any better. I ate what I thought was eating well, right? But just the research I've done, I go back to, I'm a very pragmatic person. What makes sense?
Yeah.
And you look at a human being's stomach versus a cow's stomach, herbivore versus carnivore. Our whole body, our system is designed to eat meat. Doesn't mean we can't also eat some of that stuff, but it's designed for meat. So right away, veganism is like insane to me, and vegetarianism. It's like, can you survive on that? Sure. But that one guy, supersized me, he lived on McDonald's. That doesn't mean you should do it.
Right.
Early man, whether you want to believe in creation or evolution or whatever your thing is, what was early man eating? I mean, he would chase down his food. And I, in these studies that I do and just researching it, obviously meat, right? Eggs, berries. But like I've had this question posed to me, where have you ever seen a field of broccoli growing? Or, zucchini or squash just like growing out in nature? You ever been out in the woods or out somewhere and just seen a patch of it? And it's like, no, because we developed all that stuff. That's all been genetically modified. A banana didn't look like a banana back in the day. We've modified it to be this big thing full of fruit and no nuts and seeds. Before it was all seeds, they were about this big. There was hardly any meat in it. You'd never eat it.
Right.
So we've twisted our food around. And so when I hear people say eat, because you'll always hear eat clean. Well, what the hell does eat clean mean? To me, it's go back to things that aren't messed with and aren't processed at all. Meat, right? Meat, eggs, fish, and really the right dairy, raw milk. And why the hell is our government pushing back on raw milk so hard?
Raw milk was just made legal in Louisiana maybe a month ago. It's been illegal for years. And I threw a celebration in my office. One of my patients actually brought me a couple gallons of raw milk from their local farm. I was like, thank you. It's wild. It's
crazy.
Man.
So anyway, that's where I stand, is just go back to keeping it very simple. And it's not hard to say, this is what you should eat. All that other stuff, you don't ever need to eat bread or carbs again. Like you would live just fine without it. You'd be healthier. Now, that doesn't mean I don't splurge. There's an In-N-Out down the street from me, and once in a while, I'm hitting it hard. I like ice cream, so once in a while, I get a really good quality ice cream, and I like ice cream. I'm not going to completely deprive myself of it, but 90% of my diet has gone to carnivore.
If you remember, Ping, you called me last night, and my kids scared the ever-loving crap out of me because I was in the pantry grabbing some dark chocolate, and my kid just tapped me on the shoulder, and he was right there next to me.
You were so busted.
Daylights out of me. was like, I'm caught. Guilty.
But dark chocolate's a good option.
Yeah,
when
I
you
think
have
so.
sweet tea.
I think
Yeah.
so, man. And you're right. I mean, and look, I live in the South. We don't eat to live down here. We live to eat. And everything is done in the kitchen. Everything is done around food and drink. And when I tell people what I tell people, they look at me like I have six heads. And they're like, you're out of your mind. My family's going to, disown me if I eat like this. And that's a big thing. I mean, it could be why Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas have some of the highest obesity rates and, highest mortality rates in the country. Maybe I digress.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's the hardest thing, right? It's the easiest thing in the world to say, look, you can fix all your health issues. You'll drop weight like crazy. You'll be shredded. I mean, that old saying that abs are made in the kitchen, not the gym.
Sure.
It's so true. But and it's simple to say, it's so hard to do. They've got us addicted to these sugars, and your body doesn't know the difference between a piece of bread or a Snickers. It gets broken down into glucose, right? And your body just treats it like sugar.
It's really important to say, I tell my patients all the time, your eyes stop here. Your stomach doesn't have eyes.
Yeah.
So your stomach doesn't recognize, oh, well, I'm eating healthy. I'm having a piece of toast and some, avocado and stuff. And I'm like, sure, the avocado is great, but your stomach just recognizes the sugar from the bread. It doesn't recognize any health benefit from it whatsoever. And I'll go so far as to say is, if you're in the United States right now, if you're in North America right now, eating a grain, the grain is not real. This is not Europe, Italy, France, where you can have sourdough bread made from a bakery that was, harvested, 2 blocks down the road, and exactly where that grain came from. Everything we're eating here is just inflammatory. It's inflammatory. I think that's the key word, and that's what I drive to my patients. It's, is this going to drive inflammation in your system? And well, Arden, how do I know if it's going to be inflammatory or not? Well, first you reset your system. And that's why I recommend that elimination diet for a couple of weeks. Sure, it's hard. I tell patients, look, pick 5 or 6 things that that you can tolerate well, that are within the little category that I'm giving you, right? Ground beef, eggs, good, where your fish are coming from, right? They're fresh caught fish. Some avocados and, stuff like that. Berries, if you have to have them. And then, come week 4, add something back, right? Have a bowl of pasta and watch what happens. Just watch what happens. 30 minutes after you eat that, you feel like you're going to die. And now you know why, right? Because your brain is kind of woken up and all those alarms are coming back and say, oh, wow, I just ate something that's tearing me to pieces.
Yeah.
It's very enlightening for people.
It's crazy. And like I'll even go a step farther and say, I think it's super important for people to fast at times.
Yeah.
48 hours, if you can do it, 36 is good. Even 24, if that's all you can get through. So good for your body to give your gut a chance to kind of reset. And, after, I think it's 18 to 24 hours, your whole GI tract will start to rebuild stem cells and release those, which is repairing gut issues. A lot of people are having celiacs now. That's just you eating too many things that have inflamed your system, and the cilia are not absorbing food the way they need to. And we've pissed them off to a place where now it's like they don't even operate. And now you have celiac disease. So fasting is super good for you for so many different reasons, but that's another thing I would recommend to people. Obviously at the right time and place, but not while you're competing or right before you're leading up to a race. But I think that's important. And like I said, for me, meat, eggs, some nuts, avocado I like for the fats, butter, olive oil, Greek yogurt, and then the berries, blueberries and blackberries are kind of the 2 I like. They're the lowest on the glycemic index.
Huge antioxidant component too.
Yeah, really, really good for you. I'm probably missing a few things, and it's not like I go, oh, I'm not eating fruit or vegetables, but I've minimized those for sure. My plate is mostly protein.
Yeah, I agree. And
I've never felt better.
Right. And to me, and I see this in my patients a lot, you have positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement, right? The positive reinforcement would be like, getting your first place trophy when you win a race, or negative reinforcement would be breaking your ankle when you dab it in a corner or something, right? That's negative reinforcement. I find that negative reinforcement is far more powerful and people remember it longer. And what I mean by this from a diet perspective is going back to that bowl of pasta. You had 3 weeks of a very elimination diet type, very regimented diet. And then one by one, scientifically, you bring things back. From the time the food hits your mouth to the time it's starting to process in your stomach takes about 30 minutes. And you will remember those negative effects from food far more than you remember the positive effects that you have, from eating clean, from eating anti-inflammatory type diets. And so I tell my patients when they come in, they come in around week 4, week 5, Arden, man, I had XYZ and, I felt bloated and I got the face swelling and my mood started to change. And I said, hold on to that. I said, you need to paint a picture and put it on your wall of that because you'll never forget that.
Yeah.
And it really helps keep people in line. And it's like you said, and I think we both said it, like, life is also, intended to be lived. And if you want to have that bowl of ice cream or if you want to have that In-N-Out or something, go for it. But understand what it's doing and understand if you make that your habit or if you make that your lifestyle choice, then there are going to be negative ramifications from it. And there still can be, healthier alternatives. Instead of buying, Bluebell ice cream from the grocery store, make your own.
Yeah.
Or get it locally.
You can make your own, or it's actually outside of the sugar. It's not too bad. And you can even make it with honey.
Yep.
We've tried that. Not as good, but not as good as Tillamook, but there is healthy alternatives. Yeah. We got what we got? It's called a Creamy Ninja. Have you ever heard of one of these?
No.
I haven't used it yet, but it basically makes your own ice cream out of just fruit and honey, and it's supposed to be really good. So we're gonna try that out. Because I have a sweet tooth, man. I'm not up here preaching like it's not hard. After dinner, I'll eat clean all day, and after dinner, man, it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I've got to have something sweet, and it's just years of like being programmed that I get dessert. I eat all my dinner, I get dessert.
Yep.
Freaking Pavlov's dog over here. It's like, ding, where's the ice cream? But you just have to find healthier alternatives. What I've done, I've got pomegranate trees here. We grow a lot of our own fruit and vegetables during the spring, but we have pomegranate tree that does really well. So I'll put a bunch of pomegranate seeds and some Greek yogurt with a little bit of healthy granola, dude. And that's my dessert. That's what I'm eating for dessert now. I love it.
You said something that's quite important, I think. And it's also important for people to recognize what their triggers are. And because that's a root cause solution, right? Because if you fix your diet but don't know why you're triggered to eat poorly, then you're going to end up falling back onto that program, right?
Yeah.
So, you said that, it's a familial thing, right? You had dessert every time you ate your meal, right? Some people eat when they're depressed or stressed or excited.
Bored,
right?
Or thirsty. That's something else I try to do when I get a hunger pang or just like I feel like I want a snack. I go just chug a big thing of water. And a lot of times your craving just goes away. And gosh, brings up there's so much to this, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I have a buddy who I want to throw him under the bus right now, but I'm not gonna. He drinks so much Dr. Pepper. So much Dr. Pepper. I'm all, dude, if you just replace that with water, you probably lose 25 pounds this year.
Easily.
And it's just all sugar. It's sugar water. Soda is like one of the few things you should completely get rid of.
Should be illegal. I think it's nothing beneficial whatsoever out of it.
No.
But I want to add electrolyte depletion, right? So you said water. I'm a big fan of electrolyte rich water. I love products like Element. I don't like Liquid IV because it's sugar clothed as a electrolyte supplement. But products like Element, where you're getting 1,000 milligrams of sodium, watch your headaches go away, watch your muscle spasms go away. You're going to increase your focus, get better sleep. I love stuff like that, especially
that's a whole different topic too, is supplements, right? And maybe we can do another podcast. But magnesium, D, zinc, most folks are so deficient in all of those. If you have trouble sleeping, take some magnesium every night.
Yep. Magnesium glycinate. Yep. And I think you're right. We can talk entirely about that. But if I had to say something in one sentence, there's low hanging fruit with supplements. If you're eating the diet that we're discussing right now, you're going to be deficient in some specific micronutrients, magnesium, selenium, vitamin D. Everybody's deficient in vitamin D. Everybody. So I recommend a good.
Except my wife.
No way.
Sorry, tasteless joke.
We'll chat.
Carry on.
Vitamin D3 specifically. So a D3 K2 supplement I think is important. I supplement with protein and creatine. There's tons of health benefits on creatine. It's not just about getting, swole and huge and all that stuff. So, but supplements are intended to supplement your diet.
Yeah.
So I recommend working with some sort of health professional to know what you're deficient in and then supplement accordingly, because a lot of the stuff is snake oil and, you don't need a lot of the stuff that's out there.
And this is all intertwined in health, but I mean, I always recommend to people who ask, and I don't run around preaching it like a vegetarian or a CrossFitter. But if you are really trying to improve your health, you should be getting labs done. What would you say, twice a year?
At least,
and look at your levels, because you don't know you're deficient in something until you get some blood work done and go, oh, my testosterone's at 120. I don't have any magnesium. Oh, I'm iron deficient. I'm whatever. So, get your blood work done, make those corrective changes with the help of someone who knows what they're talking about. And then every 6 months, keep going back and looking. Okay, well that got fixed, but now this, because your body will rob from Peter to pay Paul. So if it's low here, it'll steal something from here that helps that, but that makes something else low. And so you need to find what works for you, what your body needs, which is going to depend on what you're eating, how much you're sleeping, how you're taking care of yourself, all that. So like you said, everybody's sort of their own animal, right? And there isn't one catch-all. If you do this protocol, you'll be dialed. Everyone's a little different, but what a great tool that is not nearly utilized enough is just go get some blood work, simple blood panel. Most insurance companies will cover it. Insurance, another topic for another podcast. But I can't tell people enough, go get your blood work done.
But Pingree, my doctor says that all my labs are normal and I don't need any other labs.
And your doctors, this is where they're an idiot also. And I'll give you a great example. Testosterone, great example. Has had a negative connotation for years. Oh, no, you don't want to do that. That's no good. We'll put you on this pill instead. The window of what's normal for a male, right? Because it's 18 to 70 or whatever. It's this massive window of age. And they say, well, anything from, I'm going to get the numbers wrong, but I think it's around 200 or 250 to like 800. That's normal.
Goalpost keeps moving, but I think that's standard for labs nowadays. Yeah.
That's the rough window, right? So if you come in at 249 or 251, they're like, oh, you're good. But you're at the very, very low end. And if you're a fireman or, a police, you need a little bit more testosterone. Your optimal level was 700. Well, you feel like crap and you just can't figure out why. Your doctor's saying, oh, my labs are good. Right. So for me, this comes back to don't ever go to a general practitioner. You got to find a naturopath, somebody who's a little more keyed into nutrition and, what the hell is really going on?
Yeah.
Because a GP is he's going to prescribe you meds.
We're going to dive deeper into the types of medical providers in another episode, but I think it's really important to understand some red flags in medicine, and that's certainly one of them. You've gotten labs back from a Quest or your doctor's office and stuff, and a lot of times now they're color coded. Well, that's to help the patient understand, that's in the green, so it's probably good, and or it's yellow, I need to pay attention. Well, now the doctor's reports are coming back color coded. So a lot of times the doctors are just scanning the green, yellow, red and saying, oh, you're good, you're good, you're good, you're good. And they're not even reading it.
Yeah.
You could be 1 point above the green and have clinical signs of whatever that's talking about. The doctor's like, nope, you're good. And more importantly, the insurance won't cover an investigation whether or not you are not good because it's in the green.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. That can piss me off. But
Well, and like I'll give one quick example of this, because this one drives me bananas, because it's something I see every patient I go on is on a statin.
oh
And
God,
and cholesterol, it used to be I think 300 was like the normal level, right?
yeah,
Until, and I'm going to get the years a little bit wrong, sometime in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, they came out with statins, which lowered your cholesterol level. Well, at the same time statins were introduced from the pharmaceutical companies, they took normal cholesterol level from 300 down to 200.
yep, sure
Huh.
did.
So now if you're at 250, you're still well within the normal range forever. But they're saying, oh, your cholesterol's too high. That's no good. You need to be on this statin forever. Well, that's profitable for them. But they're finding, if you dive into the rabbit hole, there's more and more studies showing how important cholesterol is for your brain function.
Yep,
Your whole brain, I believe, is cholesterol. Like that's
correct.
the basic makeup of it. And so Alzheimer's, a lot of these diseases that have become so prevalent, also you see a big uptick in those about the time statins were introduced. So again, call me a conspiracy theorist if you want. I just look at facts and numbers and data and go, well, this is what makes sense. They want to make money. They lowered the normal threshold for cholesterol so that they can sell statins. Everyone's on a statin. Every patient I go on. Everybody's on a statin.
100%. It's one of the top 5 most prescribed drugs in the United States.
So those are the things you have to look at when we talk about corruption in our government agencies. And love them or hate them, what Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are trying to do is go in and just clean out some of that bullshit, some of the corruption, some of the unnecessary agencies, and get them back on track. It's huge. What RFK is doing, which goes right along into all of this health and nutrition stuff. He's been screaming it from the rooftops, but he gets snuffed out because Big Pharma is the main person, the main funding source for all these news channels. Start paying attention to how many Pfizer ads there are. And when they control the messaging, they control the messaging. So
yeah, there was a case study on all of those pharmaceutical ads that you see on TV, and the pharmaceutical companies have all but admitted that they're not hoping that the consumer goes to their doctor and asks about some drug they saw on TV. It's all about money. It's all about control, right? I mean, if company A is providing $1 billion of ad revenue to CBS or NBC or whatever, and they just decide to pull that money, well, I think that particular network is going to be inclined to serve the needs of their advertiser. I think I can.
And it happens to all of the lobbyists that go to DC. Those pharmaceutical lobbyists are powerful.
Sure.
And so they buy our government officials. Hey, we need you to vote this way on this. We need you to do this. We need you to support this. We need you to shut this bill down.
So when it comes to choices on food and supplements and just overall living your life healthily, all
right.
Okay. I made up a word for you today. I think the most important thing is just to question things, right? Instead of blindly going down the aisles of the grocery store saying, oh, okay, well, this is healthy. Ask why. Read labels, and not the little white nutrition fact label, but read the ingredients list underneath. That's in like 0.2 font print that you can barely see. And I tell patients, if there's a word that you can't pronounce, or if you don't know what it is, then don't eat it, because it's probably not good for you. It was probably made in some lab somewhere. And to me, frankly, I'm frustrated and tired of these entities putting things in our food that don't need to be there. Eat whole foods, eat stuff that existed before we did, and watch a lot of these chronic illnesses start to go away.
Couldn't agree more. And one of the other, you were talking about inflammation. Obviously, sugar is a major problem there. The other piece of that is seed oils.
Oh yeah.
And that's something that's going to get, I think, addressed in the next several years. But if it isn't butter or olive oil, maybe coconut oil,
yep,
I'm out. If it's any other oil, like I said, go into your ingredients and start looking at palm kernel oil, all these different seed oils. It's ruining your health.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of evidence to support your olive oil is actually being cut with a different oil, usually a vegetable oil of some kind, unless it is imported from Italy and in a tin can or something like that. There, it's funny you mentioned that. There was a study that came out right before COVID or in the beginning of stages of COVID. It was a 4-page article or study rather on the effects of coconut oil and how coconut oil is satanic and it's going to kill you every which way. And, you know, there's all this evidence of fact A, B, C, right? It was only 4 pages long. And when you see who paid for the study, it was the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And the U.S. Department of Agriculture is funded by all of these cornfields in the Midwest. And it was a direct conflict of interest.
Yeah.
And to me, as a clinician, that discredits the entire validity of what you're reading because they're financially influenced. So even if what they were saying was true, and by the way, it's been debunked, all of that needs to be taken into consideration when, you know, you as a healthcare professional are using that study to dictate to your patients what they should be eating. But people don't look that far.
No, any study, line 1 should say who it was funded by, who the study was funded by. Because in the pharmaceutical industry, it's rampant. Hey, we're going to do a study on this drug. Well, guess who funded the study? That pharmaceutical company that's making it. It's like, of course they're going to find it, you know, yeah, it's good. You know, no major side effects. I mean, it's no different in the food world. There's crazy greed and corruption that have twisted it. So buyer beware. Yeah, I mean, you got to just do some research on your own.
That's ultimately what it comes down to. I can, you know, Ping and I can talk till we're blue in the face about what we suggest you eat. But the people that do the best, whether they're on a medically managed weight loss program or a health and wellness journey, they're doing the research on their own. They're not blindly trusting people to tell them what to do and how to eat and how to live. If you want to optimize your health, take it into your own hands. And it starts with the food that you eat. Anything else you need to add, Ping?
No, I mean, you know, like I said, that we could go on forever. We've got some other little subsets of this we're going to jump into, but I've kind of said my piece, and hopefully that helps some people, maybe kickstarts them to go do a little research on their own, and don't listen to just a government agency because it has FDA or whatever by it. Those aren't the trusted sources that they were in the 50s, if they ever were. You know, you got to dig around and find someone you trust and follow their research.
Leave a comment below if you have any questions. I can't wait to read some of those. And we'll see you on the next video. Thanks, Ping.
You bet.
See ya.
If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos, comment what you thought, and share it with your friends.